Kitafakari vizuri. Mithali 12:24, mkono wa mwenye bidii utatawala.
West TV, tazama ilivyo.
Good morning, dear viewer, wherever you're watching West TV. This is the Morning Scoop. We're coming to you live from Bungoma, and this morning we're going to talk about something very, very interesting. You see, in Kenya, we've been treated to all sorts of drama in terms of politics. And some politics are just politics, and some politics are more political than others. The past 6 months, we've been treated to drama that is very interesting. But then, where is the root? We realize political betrayals is not a new thing. There is a fellow who called Hamisi, who did a book about political betrayals, and he narrated in his book about political betrayals from time immemorial. He brought in the Moi story and then the Kibaki story, and how the two were marked by political betrayals. I thought that would be the end. Little did I know that we are actually in it. It's actually part of the conversation. It's as old as political history. So today I'm privileged to have one of the I'll say a classmate with the president and the deputy president, just to talk to us about what we are saying and put it in the context of political betrayals and whether it's going to end or it's going to continue. Thank you so much for joining us. On behalf of Kelvin Kibet, who is directing the show, my name is CKS, and this is the Morning Scoop. Please keep the conversation on X at WestTV_Kenya. And you can always follow us on YouTube. Wherever you're there, leave a comment kindly and subscribe and just share to your networks. You can also follow me at Mr. Kitui on Facebook, Kitui Owasimiti. Welcome, my brother, welcome. Yes. Last time we were here, we were talking about Gen Z. Yes. Gen Z, Generation X, stuff like that. Today we are here. Yeah. And it's interesting times. You see, when we see things happen, we kind of get excited because it's easy to read about them than to see them happen. Yeah, I want to take this opportunity to welcome you on the show.
Thank you.
Yes. Mr. Ofula Buke is the proprietor of Zuri Hotels in Kenya and Uganda. He's a political analyst. He's a classmate to the ruling class. He could be ruling class in spirit.
Yeah, possible. I'm a freedom fighter.
Yes.
As long as it's oppression, my true identity is a freedom struggler, instead of change, advocate of human rights. Yeah.
Let's begin with the proverb. The proverb today is taken from the book of Proverbs in the Bible, chapter 22, verse 6. It says, "He who waters the water, he who waters the plant, and he who plants the plant, the two are the same."
He who waters?
He who plants, he who waters, the two people are the same. What do you make of that?
I expect it to be a proverb that creates division between players, but this, in my opinion, simply means that the process of creating a product involves many players, but the game that is played has to be harmonious. You can see the plant anticipates another step, which is important for the crop to go. I think if we straight further, we talk about the
one who harvests
the weeder.
The weeder, then eventually.
Then the bag. Yeah.
Wow, interesting times these are.
Indeed.
Give us some, just in context. Going back to history, the story of betrayals from the 60s. It's been marking our political work, right? Just give us a bit of your understanding of it.
I agree with you. I would say we identified through words in a box and some system, magnified the most prominent word that defines Kenya's politics. The word could be betrayal. I think even the word independence won't be there because we didn't have enough independence. But betrayal, we have it. We got it. So the most important word you find in a box of words that talk about Kenya, the most pronounced, the biggest capital letters, digitalized and underlined, would be betrayal.
I don't like you. I mean, we don't have independence. We have
the word independence will be a smaller word. Yeah.
It will be a subset.
The big word that captures so much in our politics is betrayal.
Give us facts a bit about that.
Fact number one, it's both personal and national. At the national level, everybody knows. In fact, in the world of academia, Kenya was being defined as a perfect new colony by the year 70-something and 80s. It's a perfect new colony in Africa. We took first position. What does that mean? It simply means that whatever people set out to fight for was not achieved. It's just something else came in place. So the first betrayal becomes the independence betrayal, where people who fought for land are told work hard and buy land. Uhuru na mashamba. Then it shifted to Uhuru na kazi. Forget about land, just work. Land, you can't get it. So that was the first betrayal. And betrayals go. Of course, as you head forward, you see in 1966, not much earlier. The other betrayal is when fellows were in prison. There were several types of people there. We had Kenyatta and the Kapengure Six, and we had other revolutionary fellows like Makat Singh. We had like Makat Singh, who after getting independence, and Kariuki Chotara, after getting independence, Kenyatta basically did not release them. They stayed for an additional 1 year. The reason being, they were radical. So he was denying the radical left or the nationalistic forces critical players, ideologues. So he kept Makat Singh in prison, and of course, Kariuki Chotara also didn't have it easy because he had fought with Kenyatta in Kapengure. You may remember that when Kariuki Chotara went to join the Kenyattas in prison, he reached Kenyatta and was very excited. You know, it was an urban guerrilla being a bit of white, mixed color. He was allowed to operate in Nairobi. Then they discovered he's a traitor to the whites. So when he was jailed, he met Kenyatta and said, "Oh, we are trying, we're working very hard. You want to capture independence." Kenyatta told him, "When are you going to stop? We're suffering and you're out there fighting." So Kariuki was so annoyed that he gave him a blow and broke his tooth. That was, I think, this is not Turkana Kombele, Kitang, yes.
He punched the would-be president.
The old man, yes, Kenyatta, and broke his tooth. So, in fact, the reason why Ngei was very much a friend of Kenyatta is because Ngei stepped in and the fit guerrilla and removed him from the fight.
The reason why Kenyatta had problems with Chotara was because Chotara was trying to give him the report.
The report that we are not giving up.
But
Kenyatta was tired. He wanted a break. He wanted to go home and take his whiskey. So now you can see that when Kenyatta comes in power, he refuses to release Kariuki Chotara. Then Makat Singh also refuses to release him because he was a leftist. So after 1 year is when Kariuki Chotara is released and is given, I think, was it 4 acres or something like that in Naivasha, dry place. The guy suffered till 1978. That's when Kenyatta now, Moi, gave Chotara some assignment. And from that time you realize that Kariuki Chotara believed in Moi 100% because if a Kalenjin would save me on my own count, let me fight all the Kikuyus and so on. So betrayal was there.
When Chotara died, I think it was in...
I was in prison then, but I think it was around there. No,
1991.
It is
88, 89, they're around there.
Exactly.
Daily Nation did a second headline,
Yes.
said the most unpopular politician has died.
Yes.
You know what Moi did? He carried the entire country to go and bury him and showed the media that this guy is not unpopular.
And you know what? Pursuing the theme of betrayal.
Yeah.
If you look at somebody has fought for independence, gone to prison, he's kept there. When he's released, he has nothing to call home and that kind of thing. Do you see that we can actually not condemn Karim Chitale?
The issue is not even.
Betrayed.
You see, the issue is not even that. The issue is when you are involved in a cause.
Yeah.
What is the end game? Is it for your personal or for the country?
You are in that country.
Yes.
That gain can't be isolated from you.
Yes.
You must also gain.
It means it is shared.
Yes.
So you cannot say, if I didn't get this, I'm betrayed.
No. It is not a case of getting. It's a case of being denied.
Maybe he didn't earn it. Some things you need to earn them.
No. He fought for change, came out. And if we follow what happened, Kenyatta was giving everybody he liked anything. Now, for a freedom fighter, the minimum he deserves is space in the system. He was a guerrilla fighter. He should have been a sergeant in the army. That was not given to him. That's betrayal. Yeah.
Wow. So that seemed to determine the current political trajectory.
Yes.
Because then all struggles come with players who get, some of them get the fruits, some of them get betrayed. Then it tends to generate what we have, because what we have are the results of what has been planted.
You see, let's categorize these betrayals. You know, in Kenya and of course in history, there are two divides. There are always teams in contest, mainly, generally, two teams. The first team is one which allies with the people and embraces the ideas of that advance the interests of the people. Then the other team is a team that holds power and seeks to serve their class using the people. You get that? So those are two teams. Now, in those two teams, there is betrayal within, okay, and there is betrayal of the overall nation. Now, what we had at independence was actually a betrayal of the people by the government. Because what they wanted, what they fought for, could not be given to them. That's first betrayal. Now, when you come into within the teams now, the conservative team, those that are in power, and those who are saying we can actually work for the people. We now had a team called the Jaramogi-led KPU with Pierre Gama Pinto and those kind of people. Now, was there betrayal in there? According to Kagia, you know, Kagia in 1969 finally gave up and criticized Jaramogi and, decided to start his own church called Church of Kagia. Yeah. So now, when I talked to him myself, he told me Jaramogi had a problem. They could send him to Europe, he comes back, he doesn't talk about the money that we send him to pick. He has the money, doesn't talk about it. So now, as a person who is fighting from Kiambu, Kenyatta's stronghold, he suffered more. But he can't be given sufficient space within the team that they are formed. So he got so frustrated and quit. So we call that betrayal. Betrayal within the club of freedom fighters.
Yes.
Then now we can go to the other side. Was there betrayal within? Already that camp which is taking power has betrayed the whole nation. The second level of betrayal now is betrayal among themselves. Who do we find? Tom Mboya. Tom Mboya was not ours. Tom Mboya was a part of the team that crafted neocolonialism. We did session paper number 10, which formed the country we have today. He takes responsibility for our problems, just like Kenyatta. But you see now, within them, they could not develop proper formulas for contesting for power. So they kept looking with suspicion at each other. So as Mboya became more and more popular, these other people became uncomfortable because they realized
this guy, maybe when he was crafting that session of paper we just mentioned,
yeah,
he may have created some some things that favor him.
It's true, but generally, they had a problem trying to form a team that would manage succession smoothly. So they went into betrayal mode and kicked out, killed Mboya. Then as things went, they realized, who is the next popular person who is talking like a sympathizer of the other side? You know him, James Kariuki, JM Kariuki. So JM Kariuki was also a member of the team, but was becoming sympathetic to the other camp, also was betrayed and terminated. And the betrayal was going on up to Ouko. Ouko was not a Kenyan patriot, it was Moi's dog. But you see, a dog that is outshining the master is not very good. So there he also became a victim of betrayal and got killed. These are problems within the ruling class, intra-conservative movement, betrayals.
Well, fast forward, Kibaki era.
Yes.
What betrayals can you talk about?
Yes, when it comes to Kibaki, first, Kibaki quit he quit the KANU party and came and started promulgating the ideas that he had fought against all his life. Democracy, multipartyism, human rights, rights, people's rights, that kind of thing. But when it comes to power, the first thing he does is embrace as many as possible, and we thank him for that. But when it came to now implementing what we sought out to achieve, he was not faithful. First, he was uncomfortable with the new constitution, tried to avoid till he took us to Kilifi, they drafted another one, but the issue was trying to make sure that power is concentrated at the center where they were in control.
You see, that is when we had a number of versions of the constitution.
Yes, exactly.
We had Kilifi, we had Naivasha, we had Harmonized, we had Bomas.
Wako draft.
Wako was there.
So now there I see Kibaki telling us, please, I lied. On this, I am not going to agree. That's betrayal. We had also the TJRC process. This country has gone through a lot of suffering and we keep piling up pressures. So now here again, he pretends, allows us to have a TJRC process. I was the chairman of the Kenya National Victims and Survivors Network. Nyayo House, Air Force, Wagalamas, all those people. I was the chair. So now here we are. We start the process, they try to sabotage it with him, but we stick on till we produce a report which is respected. To this day, I think it's beyond gathering dust. It must have been eaten up by cockroaches by now. It may not be there. So there also we see Kibaki as a traitor. He also come out to elections. Those elections were produced another candidate, not him.
Yes.
A worst case scenario, to produce nobody. But he doesn't step forward to respect the process and the outcome of that particular election, causing so many deaths. So there also he betrayed. But he didn't entirely betray, because for the first time he had an experience in good governance, some degree of constructive governance and development of infrastructure, the whole country.
Yes.
We thank him more actually. But he still maintains that theme called betrayal in our history.
His share of betrayal
is
intact.
Yes. And the worst point at which he gives us betrayal is when he does not become sincere enough to give us a leadership that will build on what he did. He said he gives us these two criminals, Uhuru Kenyatta and Ruto. Now, all that he worked for has gone down the drain. We're back into debt. We're killing each other. The reason being, he betrayed his country. He should have been a good old man who says, in this home of mine, the right firstborn who should lead the family is this one. And he knows. But instead, he picks younger hyenas who have taken as his father. Betrayal is becoming more and more bruising than before.
You see, one will argue that as long as it was not Raila, then it was betrayal.
To be honest with you, and I think Kenyans would agree, the best qualified person as after 2000, after Kibaki, to lead this country needed to be Raila Odinga. And if it came to Raila Odinga, even Martha Karua would have been a better idea, because people who know where this country has come from. But you can't give us Uhuru, a boy who has been unable to beat alcohol alone. Then you give us a petty thief, for running mate. Then we end up just the chaos that guy. The other day he buried many children. Listen. Kibaki did not do his parental responsibility of making sure that Kenyans get the right candidate. So there, he also betrayed Kenyans.
You see, the issue here is, if President Uhuru and the current President Ruto are as bad as you say, then how do they manage the systems? How do they navigate to have a way?
You see,
as in, this system is, you want to say it's very bad, it's useless.
You see, let us look at what happened when we, I like Museveni and even Kagame. The first thing for change to come and be sustained, you crash the state apparatus and replace it with something new. New personnel, new systems and everything new. Maybe new army even. But now what Kibaki does when he takes power,
he maintains
is first of all, the procurement side, he swept out all tribes and put his about 90% Kikuyus. Yeah, okay? Then of course they did further recruitments and made sure that they put into place not competent people, but their own people.
With an assignment to
with
make
a
sure
mission
that they perpetuate.
With a mission to perpetuate retrogressive politics. Yeah. So now there we can't say that the system must survive, because those who have been occupying state apparatus know that their properties are safe only if this country remains in the hand of people who share some values with the hyenas. Yeah.
Uhuru Ruto 1.
Yes.
We later on saw what we can call betrayal between him and Ruto.
What?
After 2017.
Yes.
That's when it came out that
yes.
These guys are going to fall off, and betrayal was in the air.
You see, one of the mistakes we've made, you see, the ruling class will always be united when there's a crisis. If they are under threat of extinction, they'll always be united and they'll play together. Now, when Uhuru took power and Ruto, they were in danger. There was that big animal called Raila Odinga with his masses. They had to remain united. But now, Raila makes a mistake, in my opinion now, in retrospect. He comes and gives them some handshake, calms them down. So in the process, they start getting more comfortable. And what happens? In the situation where they're comfortable, they still fight among themselves. So we see them fighting among themselves because of the calm they experienced after Raila joined and made peace for them.
Now, what would have happened were it that Raila sustained the pressure on them?
They would have been united. I can assure you, if Raila did not join Ruto, Gachagua will be a very happy president, cheating every rubbish that he does. He will still be the vice president. But now, excuse the language.
But should you see? The problem here is Raila, right? Because then, whenever Raila is in the picture, then betrayal will start flying left, center, and right.
You see, let's get this clear. We're talking about betrayal within the ruling club,
yes,
and also betrayal without. Those fighting.
So Raila is betrayed.
So when Raila is outside, he's a force so powerful that these people have to ignore the small internal contradictions and work together
to fight this.
Yes, their unity is based on the fact that they are under threat. Now, when the threat disappears, you start looking around. Who has what?
Who is
taking what? Now you are talking badly. In the process,
why should we have that suspicion? Why should we be in a fighting mood every time?
It is not we. These things they don't tell us, brother. But the bottom line is struggle over resources, influence, and propelling their own. Is just the case of hyenas. Under threat, they come together and fight the lion. When the lion disappears, they fight each other over the antelope that they have gotten. So that's their problem.
What is the future of the current relationship between Raila and Ruto? Because then that is also bound by another, it's certainly going to attract another betrayal, if it's not in the working as we speak.
What I see in the Raila we have now is, I can't say a different man, but a man who now we understand. I think he's been our traitor. Every time he crossed over the other side, he was not going to fight for us. He was going there to seal his deals. And this particular happening, when GNC stepped up, he came out as a clear opportunist, making hay from the graves of young people. Yeah, coming to cause stability for Ruto in exchange for things you've seen and others you've not seen. So I think that now that he's fully exposed, he cannot come out. He will stick with Ruto, give us a Ruto presidency in 2027, because now they're saying they're Nilots, but they're just ordinary thieves. There's nothing Nilot there. So they have come together. I believe this unity will stay.
Question is,
Yeah.
Raila betrayed the people he worked with by joining Ruto,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Among the people who remained
Yeah.
outside, we don't seem to be hearing deafening shouts or any loud voice that will parallel Raila's when he was out there. Why are they not so bold?
I think let us also agree that we have created Raila for many years. You know, when we say Raila brought, it's not Raila brought, excuse me. I joined the struggle alone. I've been arrested 24 times. I've been to all major prisons. I've been there on my own fighting. But you see, in electoral politics, we throw all our credit to
him,
so that he can become powerful. And now, because you've created a very powerful fellow over many years, removing him and replacing another is a problem. So you have to have a gap, start afresh to construct alternative leadership. Of course, you can say we have others like Kalonzo Musyoka and the so-called Azimio now. But you see, they don't have the muscle that we constructed in Raila Odinga. Unfortunately, he has used that muscle to advance his own gains. But a fresh start would only have worked, and it started with GNC. When we realized GNC is replacing, we realized, no, here, he has to help sabotage.
So that he remains relevant.
Yes.
Or even if he doesn't remain relevant in the long run,
Yeah.
at least he will have gotten something to go home with.
Yes. But if GNC had pushed and he had kept quiet, we'd be talking about a different type of leadership right now. And they crashed it. Because, as I said, the ruling class, we share the same values, come together when there's a crisis.
Do we see any better Kenya, let's say between now and 2027?
You see,
After is anything can happen, but
Yeah,
before 2027.
I think the country is in shock. And if this was a storm, I would call it the primary stages of a storm, because we are all in shock. First, Raila's biggest betrayal of a movement that seeks to bring change in a better way than we've ever done. Second, his defection. The Pope of the Church has abandoned Rome and gone the other side
Going to Canterbury,
without giving us a chance to even elect the next cardinal to become
become
Pope.
an entire more faithful Anglican than we,
I'm telling you.
or maybe Pentecostal.
I think so. Religio Maria. so now the country is in shock, and we have to give it time to recover from the shock. The shock is losing the Pope and crushing your followers. The people you look to, now we are told look elsewhere. Where do you look? So we are in a condition where we're looking around. What should we do? And that state of shock is being taken advantage of by the establishment very quickly. Selling off the airport, giving away the airport, electricity, they're giving it out because we're in shock. We don't know where to start from. We don't know who to listen to. We don't know who should give us orders. So now, this state of shock is going to be very expensive because it may stretch for another several months. But along the way, just like people raise their tempers after some crazy works by UDA, I think we shall pick up and engage the system.
You see, in the 90s, we experienced something like this after 2A.
Yeah.
Because then we could see isolated politicians running around the country to make a very unlikely statement. And everyone will concentrate on them when the shilling will be suffering headwinds in Nairobi. And you see, between 92 and 94, that is when more reckless utterances were made by various politicians, including Chirongo. You could come to Eldoret and say something funny. And all politicians now, those days, the Martin Shikukus of this world and the Muites, who all concentrate on that when things were going bad in Nairobi. So this is the same repeat of what happened at that time. Because then you just get Raila to a hotel and have a meal, and while he's busy eating and enjoying in the plant to Addis Ababa, the airport is gone.
Yeah,
So if that has gone, what else is going to happen? Or is happening before we even start noticing that something is wrong?
Yeah, we have a huge challenge. So much I know, big ones that are noticed are happening, but there are many other small ones. I cannot rule out even exterminations of people, because the president declared that he's going to track down all those fellows who misbehaved at Parliament and elsewhere. And there's been a consistent effort in that direction. The other day, a young girl who was on YouTube, I think she comes from our community here, is it Sigalagala? Yeah, she was found dead. So now, and not just that, somebody wants to go to China for a meeting, blocked. Somebody say kidnapped, kept, maybe even injected, they may die. You know, the Jews are a way of killing Palestinians. You inject them with something and they die after some time. So these people being kidnapped, you don't know what's happening. We can't be sure. So then a girl died of suffocation. Who suffocated her when she was very healthy, we don't know. But these are some of the things that are going on as we keep wondering what we should do. So there are many things happening underground and other things happening that we can see in the name of the airport and Kenya Power and that kind of thing.
So you're saying we should be very worried?
We should be very worried, very worried, very worried. And personally, I expected this kind of challenge. And that's why I ran to open a hotel. In fact, I have 2 hotels there now in Uganda. Because I think these people are capable of creating conditions for us to think of exile again. And I don't want to go and sleep in a shop like I did. Shop 15 young boys in a small shop. Terrible living, because we've no other space. So now I decided, no, this time let me be a host instead of being a guest. Because I think these people are capable of giving us a bad country.
Let's talk about Rigiji and Ruto.
Yes.
You know these guys. You grew up with them. You shared a classroom. Class of 87. Interestingly, the courses they took, Rigiji took something different, Ruto took something different. But the whole of you took something different. And the two who took different subjects are together ruling. And the rest of you are outside.
Yeah, it is. I already knew about Ruto. I already knew that Ruto was in college with me the same time. When I met him at Hilton, he told me, by the way, he was an MP then, when you were our chairman, I was in first year. That's when I knew that he was there. I later on learned he was in Christian and trips to Moi engagements. Then we come to Rigiji. Rigiji already my thing in the National Service, though I didn't know him, because in the National Service we had those who articulate. I used to speak quite a lot about criticizing the system. In fact, I'm lucky I survived and went to the university. But at the university I was a classmate. I think either economics or political science. They used to call it government that time. And this guy, he was just an operative of the police. The only student who had direct connection with State House was my classmate, Rigiji. Yeah. In fact, one time, I don't want to go into much stories, but we managed to get a person who was a mole at the university. They wanted to beat him. Then he came to me and said, please protect me. Then I told him, what? Chocholo, you're my friend. I said, no. We thought he was a student. The guy said he was a police inspector, attached to the special branch. At that time, the guy used to campaign for me and carry me shoulder high and do everything, even the university choir. We go to funerals, he used to cry tears. Kume was just a police officer. So he told me, in this university, we have several operatives. One, that fellow in the kitchen is a sergeant, the police. So that janitor is a corporal, but that one is good, he's your friend. Now the person who has State House connections and talks directly to State House is Rigiji. And our boy was good, he had a car, he's dressed very smart. When he approaches, we keep quiet. So that guy, and when Moi goes out, they go together. Canada. Yeah. And if you realize, he talks of how he met his wife. And he says the wife, I think when I knelt before Moi and tried to plead for something, I think that's how they meet. Now, what was he doing near Moi? I'm just saying that he was around the State House, so he could access some of those opportunities to meet people from Alliance, like the wife. So I think Rigiji is the most polished conservative and the epitome of Moism, if not times 3. That's Rigiji for you. Yeah.
People get into problems and they attract a lot of sympathy.
Yeah.
Rigiji is the opposite. Guys are saying good riddance. Why?
Yeah, he has. It will be very difficult to get any leader who can be as reckless and directionless and visionless, and uncultured, like Rigiji. He used to speak about Raila till we just bleed in our hearts. Surely, he's an old man. You can't just be slightly respectful. Can you use better words to abuse him? But he goes just bare knuckles, just runs short of touching his balls. So I think that he has fared badly, but having fallen, I think he's doing better because the process of getting him to fall was too rough and too vindictive. You know, somebody's in hospital. Surely these cars are not these cars can take him home. Then you take the cars.
Or even make sure that he's protected.
Yeah. So that,
and you see, the story that there was an attempt on his life a number of times. It comes out at that time when we see that he's exposed. Why don't we? Okay, but then, oh God, why is he like that? As in, there must be something. What do you think is driving him?
You see, I would say Rigiji is a man in a classroom going through a crash program, upgrading his software to where he accidentally found himself. So he took power as a DO, a chief, and that didn't change. He's been always crashing, stealing, doing all those things. We hear he did some things somewhere. United, the refugee food, those things. So now he finds himself in a position that he was not prepared for, a position that he was not socialized into. So he does this, realizes wrong. He thinks he can talk freely, but he forgets it's no longer vice president. You see, and it's no longer a deal protected by the state. So he says, so and so killed me, now he has to go and report. You see, comes up, says, basically, he has never taken time to understand the environment of his work. Yeah.
You see, the clique around him, his handlers, they might have set him up for failure. Well, let me say this. You see, when a person in the DP's office, someone who is deputizing the president, you have your own people, your staff, your handlers, and then complete this crowd here is headed for a crash, and you don't notice? No one, you mean no one can tell him that we're going to the wrong direction? Or this group is the one that led him to where he is?
But the fallout between Gachagua and his friend Ruto not enough has come out. I think more important information is held back for teams' reasons. Yeah, I know that it may easily be overambition. It may easily be arrogance based on the fact that the mountain is big in terms of votes. It may boil down to scrambles over the gains because they can't tell us. The reason why we're fighting is because I was supposed to make 2 billion and Gachagua took it. They can't tell us those things because we shall end up investigating them both and they'll have a problem. So there is more that is unsaid. Everything Gachagua is accused of, Ruto is equally guilty. What is it? Tell me one thing which Ruto can't. If Gachagua said shares, Ruto said shares, and all of them have talked about shares behind the curtains. That this community, do we give Wetangula, do we give? It's all about shares. So what? That's nothing. He's not guilty of that. What other crime can we pick at? What mistake do they say he did? What was the other one? Grabbing. My friend, that wasn't grabbed enough. Ruto has grabbed much more that you can't even know your whole lifetime. You'll never know how much he has made. And that goes about everybody else. The issue is not whether, it is how much have they all grabbed. So Gachagua is innocent on grabbing because they are all grabbers. So I'm saying that history will tell us why they exactly differed. But what I'm
so the real story is about to
it's not come out yet. Not yet. It's not out. It is known, but it's informal. Others say he said this guy must fall before his term. They say very soon you'll have the flag running half-mast. Those are indicators of the true story.
So it means even death has been thought about.
What?
Death.
No, but I'm telling you, it said, somebody said the flag might run half-mast. But all those are their games. I'm just saying that the truth is not what we're being fed on.
You see, okay, the two systems, the open system and the closed system.
Yes.
What is under the closed system is immense.
It's immense.
And we will possibly never know what has transpired.
Yeah.
Even what is happening now, what conversations are going on between the two as we speak.
Yes.
What is in the open?
I'll give you an example just before you proceed. You know, there's a theory that says that JM was killed because of a woman matter. And this is a story. You know, the Mrs. Kenya of the 60s was a girlfriend to JM Kariuki. And JM Kariuki took this girl, let's go to State House, you greet Mzee, because he's trying to show around. So he reaches there and what happens? Mzee falls in love and gives her a job instantly, State House, and start, this is your office. And JM has to go home. Now the end result, Mzee took over the lady. So he couldn't marry her. The lady who later on married Masden Madoka.
Do you know that?
So now, JM was so annoyed that he said, "I'm going for the penguin." No, it's no. This bird that has flowers, beautiful. It's called what?
The peacock.
Peacock, yes. Say, I'm going for the peacock to revenge. Now the peacock is Mama Ngina. So people have to prevail on him, please don't do that, you're going to face problems, Mzee is going to be annoyed. Now you can see that such a small conflict can lead to now an assassination. So I'm just saying also that in this matter, there are many other small things that go on down there,
which we will never
know, and when we know it may be too late.
When someone will do a book in 2050, it will be a very interesting reading.
I think so. Yeah.
This will only be nice afterwards anyway.
Yeah.
What has corruption done to contribute to the current situation? Because every betrayal story must have been marked by corrupt deals.
Yes. What I know is that when that club, I'll call them bourgeois politicians, every time they come together to talk about power, they don't look at charisma. They don't look at, they look at what is in your bank account. How much money have you made? How dangerous are you? How viable are you? And then at the ethnic level, they look at the whole club of a community and say, how much money do they have? Can they really put up a fight? Lawyers, forget, those ones have nothing. So also, when it comes to the rivalries that exist between Ruto and Gachagua, you can't rule out the fact that one was maybe stealing, making money as much, or he was somebody was being outdone. In that context of racing to capture the credentials for running for power, one must have been doing it faster than allowed.
Yes.
And I suspect that's Rigiji. Maybe Rigiji was doing that.
But then at some point, we may make noise. Because I remember 1997, IPPG came up and there was, dissent was suppressed. Where we've reached, much as Raila and the president are together, but then the dissent is growing, as in dissatisfaction out here is growing, and the pressure out here is growing. We may reach to a point where we may start a conversation of how we can be able to strengthen accountability structures so that we take care of a bit of what is remaining. And that process is going to come in the face of fighting corruption.
Yeah, I think the biggest mistake they have made, thinking as the biggest mistake which they have made is selling off these major properties, giving away the airport. I don't know if they have finished or they're still going on, I don't know. The other mistake they have made is give away things like Kenya Power. You see, basically glaring things that go at paying everybody. I think these major acts of corruption are going to be an inspiration for rebellion. Hopefully, well organized and led. But you see, when you talk about rebellion, in most cases you talk about rebellion within the capital city for us. That's a seat of power. But we have a challenge. The challenge is the Raila factor. Because Raila has a barracks, 2 barracks in that town, called Kibra and Madari. Those 2 barracks are capable of neutralizing any movement within that town. So now, the biggest roadblock we have to efforts to try and initiate resistance from within town is Raila Odinga with his army. Because if the GNC come there with the civility and everything, he just open those barracks and they'll give us help.
And in the absence of Raila?
I think in the absence of Raila, we have a better atmosphere. I'm not wishing him anything, but I'm saying that he is now our major problem.
Raila is the problem now to
is now the summary of our problems as far as resistance is concerned. One, we built him over the years. We have people who have never seen anything else other than him. So when he's wrong, they say he's right. If he says his Katiba is okay, yeah, he has read, we only read it. Now, if you put that army alongside his barracks and his influence and control in that town, it will be difficult for us to run a show that's patriotic, because I think Luos need a little longer to heal from the influence and command of Raila Odinga.
What are we going to do in terms of elections and voter confidence?
As long
Looks like
as
2027 is going to attract the highest number of votes.
As long as we have Ruto in power, they may decide to do a pretentious run by maybe Raila or something. And then they end up with a 50-50, then a rerun, and they still remain intact. That's possible. Because Raila can pull out. So we're also going for power. But the reason is just to to make sure that they weed out everybody else. They capture the Luos and Luyas. Then Ruto gets his critical and buys a few votes, gets 46%, Raila gets 40 or 36, and maybe Kalonzo gets something. Then they say we're going for Riran. Riran is Ruto, and so basically they are in control.
So to beat this, what shall the country
So scenario number one is they can win freely, Ruto and Raila. They are together. Even when they stand separately, it even works better for them. So they can choose that scenario. The other scenario, which is also possible, is when we have now Ruto, coming together with Raila's team. They give Wanga, he says, I've retired, and then now they confront us. In my opinion, that's a better scenario, because at least we can know that they're tangibly together, and I'm sure that it is possible that some people think twice, and they may break up a bit of their following, and with strength among the masses, and the expression of the will to engage them if they steal, we may just get a chance to also push them over the cliff.
Are we looking a repeat of the 2002?
I think we have a big problem. I think it may be...
Because to run up to 2002, the streets of Nairobi was... I said, you couldn't hear anything else. Mostly it was quiet.
2002?
Towards 2002 elections. That's when Kibaki took over. But then, around October 2001, 2001, October, November, when it came to December 2001, it became apparent that the force against Moi
was too strong.
Yes.
Now, for us, our hope, and I was just about to mention the last scenario. The last scenario is a GNC scenario. If by any chance this country manages to build a consensus around something that is endorsed wholly by the politically defined as GNC team, then this country, we have a serious problem. Because at least everybody knows that you can't steal their vote because they'll come for you.
So there will actually be, they have a system already to monitor the movement of these votes. So if you reduced on your end and announced, on their end it's still intact. So they will still counteract.
And they have capacity to fight. They won't go for handshake. So I think that our hope is simply the consolidation of the arsenal referred to as GNC. Once it's fully organized, we have a reason to have hope that change is possible, and change that will give us a different quality of leadership.
So can we, of course, betrayals are also part of that work.
Yes, true.
Along the way, some of the GNCs will fall and follow the Ruto path.
Yeah.
But it means those that can remain against, okay, going by the sentiments they've been sharing on social media, if that momentum is sustained, then you foresee a rerun in 2007, their candidate and our candidate.
Yeah, the biggest problem that this country must appreciate is that we have a head of state who is riding a lion. It's no longer even a tiger, the proverbial tiger that some American president talked about. I think it was Harry Truman. This fellow is riding a lion. You are light, my friend, it eats you. Is it envisionable that Ruto can become a civilian in 2027? Can he even imagine that? One, he has to go to court for too many reasons, too many crimes committed. And in the modern era, the spotlight will capture everything he has missed and grabbed.
And the records are there.
Yes, records are there. We talk about GNC murders, disappearances.
The abductions that are underway even today.
I think that if Ruto must step out, then on that day he'll hang himself in status. That's the biggest threat we have, because we don't see any iota of democratic spirit in the president now, who must be overwhelmed by the instinct of self-preservation. He must preserve himself physically. It's not about power. The VG can go now. He can't go easily because he lands out well on his case. So that's the threat we have. 2027 threatens to be, is a very threatening situation. And I suspect the reason why he has swallowed up his words and said, please Raila come, he realizes that he can't survive if he doesn't stick to power. He'll make all compromises, try and stick to power legitimately, but also act desperately in keeping himself in power, because there's no comfort outside of power.
Wow. Whoa. You see, I've not been scared in my life.
No,
You just succeeded in scaring my life.
hey, no. I think you're not alone. This country is a scare. You know, I took my son to go and study Rwanda. My son studied in Rwanda. He qualified for university and help, but I take him to Rwanda because, not because of an opportunity, but I've been in a mess before. I don't want somebody to also be in a mess like me. Let me live my life as a messy guy here, but let my children also get a chance to just school properly, because I think this country is not very kind.
Let's finish by looking at, in the 90s we had a very strong civil society movement. I don't hear them. What can they do to be relevant? Because then should a wave that at some point a politician called them a tsunami, should that tsunami sweep over, they're likely going to be swept with that wave also.
See, the civil society are jukebox organizations. I think you're old enough to have encountered a jukebox.
Of course.
Unaweka shilingi moja inaimba kikamba, vile unataka. So now civil society, the version we have in Kenya is a jukebox civil society. So its existence and vibrance depends on the policy of the donor. And I think there has been quite some changes since multipartyism came and semblances of good governance under Kibaki administration came. There has been a bit of a dip in the funding of prisoners. It's reduced. Now we're having reasons to think that there are threats, so maybe funding will start coming. But I'm saying that the civil society should not be overestimated, because it's a jukebox civil society. The civil society that we would respect would be now the GNC, for instance, movement. We can respect the Mungiki, because that's the first organization of the poor coming together to see what they can do about their lives. Independent organizations run by the people. Those ones that we can talk about. But the Kibaki administration co-opted just about all the civil society organizations, gave the creators jobs. Everybody got jobs. People got jobs there. So now we no longer have the diehards. Instead, we just have technocrats concentrating on doing CIA work. You know what CIA work mean? The main focus is producing books, data, information, which they need to go and put in their think tanks and craft how the world should be. I'll tell you, I worked at Kenya Human Rights Commission. The State of Human Rights in Kenya, a publication by that organization, they even pick the draft. They don't wait for the other one. The Americans pick the draft to go and use it. They need information on how the world is going to shape the world and develop a vision for us in the year 23, in the next century, let me say. So now that is the principal focus at the moment. If you go to NGOs, you don't find activists. You find technocrats producing publications that are mainly driven by those who demand proposals.
So you're saying they're irrelevant as we speak?
Who is relevant? Do you know any that makes sense? One person appears in court and you call her civil society? I don't think so.
Can we look forward that in 3 months' time, when you come back here, you're going to do an analysis of an emerged political figure that will be leading the country to a specific center of power, or that you don't see in the near future between now and 2027?
Let's see. We have 3 months or 3 years?
3 months. No, 3 months.
3 months.
For someone to make sense in 3 years,
Yeah.
he needs to be alive
Yeah.
by December this year.
So now, ideally, if we thought about what we need, who or what should be the most prominent thing or personality? If we go by what we need to be prominent, then I wish it would be a movement, especially led by another generation, Gen Z. They are taking charge and we're all looking to them for leadership. I wish it was possible for them to rise that level. If I had a vote to cast, that's where I'd put my vote. My vote. And if I had money to give, which I sometimes have, I would put my money there. That's what we need. But at the personality level, if we looked at who represents change, it's a bit tricky, because there is the person we desire and look to, and there is the viable person, viable for leadership, viable for presidency. The persons who are likable and are notable as people who should be, you know them. People like Okiya Mtata, Richard Onyonka. I think the stubborn Babu Wino also represents something.
Sifuna
also makes some constructive noise, but I think for him, I wouldn't trust him enough, because he still has to listen to Raila Odinga. So he can't tell us he's not part of the conspiracy.
And my Wakoki, Natembeya?
Natembeya, as a former DC, I don't know what to say about him, but I can say he tried to be visible. The problem with people with that background is that you don't know when he's going to compromise.
So you can't be sure doing this because it's an assignment.
It's just bargaining, trying to. But I'm saying you can't be anything different from how you lived 50 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So now, if you look at those people, what do they have? Good manners, good names. But what makes a leader in bourgeois politics? You must have bourgeois credentials to lead a bourgeois republic. What are the credentials? Money. How many helicopters can you hire to run a campaign? How many adverts can you run? John F. Kennedy was asked, what do you need to win the presidency? And he said, only 3 things. Money, money, money. So now, it's wishful thinking for us to imagine that we can have Richard Onyonka, whom I really respect, to be president, if he has also not stolen. If you look at all the leaders we have, even at the MCA level, all of them have done procurement, have filled yellow pages. Because in Kenya, the path to riches is doing business with the government, which is simply legalized theft. You do something for 10% and ask for 90% profit. So I think we're in a problem. So where is the solution? That person has to emerge, but backed, if not by money, which is the main thing, then maybe a cohesive movement called GNC, which would also be disrupted most likely by these criminals in power.
It's 10 o'clock, dear viewer. We're coming to the end of the show. This guy is not very good. He keeps on talking nice things in a bad way, or bad things in a nice way, so whichever it is. Thank you so much for staying with us. Keep those comments coming. I'm seeing on X, someone has just told me something, a very big finger pointed at somebody, which is okay. Please keep those comments coming. We are on YouTube and we are on X, we are on Facebook. Wherever you're on our social media, please leave a comment, subscribe, and share. On behalf of Kelvin Kibet, who is directing this show, and on behalf of the entire team at West Media, this is CKS.